Well, hey guys, it's Dr. Drake 63 here again, and before you see another Marlin 22, an oldie but a goodie. This one is called the Model 25, and this is called the Glenfield. This is a magazine-fed bolt-action 22. These were made, depending on where you get your information from, these were made somewhere around the 70s, a mid-70s type of production. And this is, like my 89C, going to be a bit of a project on. Because guess what? Just like my 89C, this has a little bit of an issue cycling rounds. Now, I picked this up relatively inexpensively, and so, you know, when you buy an older firearm, you're going to have to know you're getting into oftentimes somebody else's problems. This particular one, if you take a look at it, we'll zoom in here with a little bit more light. You'll see that there is some light rust on the barrel. It's not too bad. It's a little bit of pitting inside the bore, a better situation, but these are the types of things that we want to take a look at. And you know, we talked about, well, it's not cycling. Well, how is it not cycling? And we'll take a look at that as well. Okay, we're going to load up just a few rounds of 22 in here so I can show you the cycling issue. This is a 7-round magazine. It doesn't really matter how many I have in it. You know, here I'm going to load 4 or 5. Then we'll proceed to showing you what we can here. So putting this in is a little bit different, but we've got that in. Now I've got that bolt round chambered, obviously fingers off the trigger here, but it should strip the old one right out. That one did. That one didn't. Okay, and that's what happened when I was firing it. I had to manually take the case out. That one did. That one didn't, and again have to manually take it out. Well, let me show you what's going on here. Now, if you look real closely here and follow the red dot, you're going to see what looks like a paper clip right there. And that has a particular job. And that job is when you extract a round, it's supposed to strip the old cartridge out. In other words, push it out of the ejector, and it's not engaging it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this down, and we're going to see, is it a situation where we just need to bend that a little bit, or is there a spring under there? But what it's not doing is it's not pushing the spent cartridge out, or the unspent one for that matter. We're gripping just fine, but we're not pushing out. And you can see it right there when it appears. When you pull back, it should push against the rim and send that flying out the side. From the presence of the one underneath or the magazine follower. It's not doing it. So we're going to take this down and see if we can figure out why. Pretty simple concept. It's either a part that needs replaced, a part that needs added, or a part that needs modified. Okay, you can see a much better view of this right there. It's at the end of my finger. And it comes up and it wraps around this, what I'll call a takedown post. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this screw off, and this is how loose it was. So this might be part of our issue to begin with. I'm going to take this off and see what that does in terms of a ability to move that. I think this might just need bent. Let's see. I put a round in, and I've got it on the bolt. You should be able to see that there, okay? Now watch what happens when I pull it back. You see how that's on the side? It's supposed to catch the rim and shoot that dog back, and it's not doing that. So my guess is that I need to bend that way. And if I do, obviously want to be careful. If I do, it's going to cause the round to come flying out. In other words, no problem with the extractor claw work, and even though you can see it's a little bit dirty, it's doing its job. It's grabbing the rim. In fact, it's not letting go. So that's our problem right there. So that's what we need to fix. We need that to engage. Before we do that, though, I want to reattach that piece I took off, put that on tightly, and make sure that doesn't help that engage. Maybe I don't have to bend the part at all. Let's see. Let's see if tightening that down makes a difference. It doesn't. So I think we need to just reshape that part a little bit. As you can see, this gun's been neglected a little bit. You see rust on the extractor, which isn't a big deal. This certainly isn't a cosmetic gun by any stretch, but we'd like to stop the rust insofar as that it's hurting our firearm. Okay, so I took a trusty pair of pliers and I bent that. Not a lot, just a little bit. So now what we want to do is we want to put a round in the chamber. I want to close the bolt, and I want to quickly work the bolt back just like I was chambering the next round. Let's see what happened. Oh, she went flying. This is exactly what we wanted. This piece now is going to, when you pop it back quickly, it's going to engage that and send it flying. So I'm actually gonna try this test with a magazine, and let's see if this works. Before I do, I'm going to take some CLP and wipe down the underside of this barrel where it comes into contact with the wood. Now fortunately there's not a lot of rust here, so that part's not an issue. This is a better looking trigger assembly than what we saw with that 89C. I think it's a better built firearm. As you can see here, there's, I believe, the ability possibly to adjust the sear. It's a pretty stiff trigger, without a doubt. But we're gonna go ahead and put things back together here. Nice large takedown screw. This was also very loose, which surprised me. So I bought this off as a guy that was a gun guy, said he was a gun guy, but there were some definite screws loose. And I won't comment on that outside of screws loose. Very deliberate trigger pull though. Okay, so now the time for the test. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. I've got to where As we discussed, I've bent that pin up. I'm going to insert a couple magazines actually. We're going to see how many rounds we can get off here. It should eject every one of them. Now these magazines are a little bit loose fitting, so who knows? Let's see. Number 1 doesn't. 2 does. 3 does. 4 does. 5 does. 6 and 7 goes flying. So you know, this is the old magazine that we're using here. So let's see if that this is the old one. Let's see what happens with the new one. It's got a little bit newer follower. It's got a better spring. I don't know if this stuff's mag related or not. Let's see. Well, looks like the new magazine works fine. I've got a second new magazine here, and let's give that one a try. So we've got this loaded up. And we're going to try. So I had a little bit of problems with the old one, and then we perfectly cycled this last magazine, which is a new one. This guy right here, this is the same thing, a new magazine. Let's see. Well, I'd say that that's an issue that I don't want to say it's non-existent, but I was having problems cycling dang near every round before, and now I've had a little bit of an issue with the oldest magazine, and just for fun, I'm going to cycle that. One thing I've noticed, when you get into these old firearms, especially ones where you have something like a magazine or a semi-auto loader like the 89C, it's just so possible to have a plethora of issues, and you just never know what you're going to get. If it's multiple issues, you have to kind of like check it all out at once. Now, I'm wondering if it's possible that this older magazine is going to be a point of issue for me or not. Seems like it is. The other thing I notice with this older magazine is when it doesn't cycle, I can move forward just a little bit and it'll pop it out, which is something I wasn't getting before. The other thing I want to point out, and this would be easier to see if I take the magazine out, I want to point out where the follower is on this. It's flat at the top, whereas these new guys, they angle up. I wonder if that might be a part of an issue too, the way that the bullet's seated. I don't know, but we've now got these guys ejecting perfectly. This one, the older one, not so much, but much better than it used to be. Okay, so you can see old mag, new mag, seems to be some kind of a difference on the follower. I think this is just also old and worn out. These guys are newer. Probably has something to do with it. But clearly, we were able to see that this piece right here, once we were able to bend that up and put that in a better position to basically strip out the shell as it comes back, held up in the extractor claw, and that was the issue. So pretty simple. Now, if I have that problem again, it might be a situation where I want to replace that part, and something like that I'm sure is easily available at Numeric or someplace like that, Numerics. But overall, this is a nice, I'll call this just a basic rifle in 22, and it's got iron sights, which is my preferred scenario. And it's got a nice long sight radius, which lends itself to accuracy And I like it. I like the fact that it's got, you know, a couple sling swivels on it. I like this basic yet well done wood. The trigger, pretty stiff, without a doubt, but it's a nice basic 22, and that's what I really wanted, was something to be able to go out and take a couple kids rabbit hunting and say, look, here, everybody's got a rifle, or go plinking and not have to take turns. So we've accomplished that. Taking a look at those micro grooves, it being a Marlin, you can see that the crown, the end of the barrel, and the chamber all look very good. No signs of rust. So taking a look at this Marlin Glenfield Model 25 and 22 long rifle. We've done our troubleshooting. We've got it in working order, what we need to go to the range and shoot without having to clear jams every few seconds like we still have to deal with that Marlin 89C. I don't know if we'll ever get that up and running the way we need to, but this one, relatively easy fix, and hopefully we don't have to be paying attention to that again in that respect. Just keep her nice and lubed and go shoot her, take her to the range. Going to have to pay attention to a little bit of a rust issue on the barrel. Nothing that is going to be a problem with the function, that's for sure, but and a kind of an oldie but a goodie. This particular rifle is from the mid-70s, and functions fine now. Right. Here you go, man. New one. It's old, but it's new.
That's cool.
Fixed it.
How old is that?
It's a 22. Bolt action.